In the remote, unforgiving wilderness of the Andes Mountains, an extraordinary tale that pushed the limits of human endurance and resilience unfolded. A tale that would come to be known as the miracle of the Andes. This is the story of an Uruguayan rugby team whose plane crashed in October 1972, and their unimaginable struggle for survival. On October 12, 1972, the Uruguayan Air Force Flight 571 took off from Montevideo, Uruguay, bound for Santiago, Chile. On board were 45 passengers which had been chartered by the Uruguayan Old Christians rugby union team to take its members and family to play an exhibition match against the English Old Boys Club in Santiago. Spirits were high as laughter filled the cabin, looking forward to their upcoming match. As the plane flies over the Andes, the weather takes a turn for the worse. Thick clouds obscure the pilot's vision, and turbulent winds shook the aircraft. Due to the drastic weather conditions, the aircraft was unable to climb to the necessary 26,000 feet to fly directly over the Andes mountain range. Instead, pilot Julio Ferradas and in-training co-pilot, Dante Legara, opted for a U-shaped route where they were able to fly lower through a mountain pass. At 3:21 in the afternoon, a little after clearing the pass, they were expecting to reach Curacao within a minute and were ready to descend. However, air traffic controllers were concerned as it usually takes 11 minutes, but it took them 3. Despite this, they still granted clearance for descent. With air traffic control clearance, Flight 571 began its descent. However, they didn't realize it was too soon. Instead of Curacao, the Flight 571 was still deep in the Andes. When Legara realized, it was too late. He attempted to apply maximum power to gain more altitude, but they were unable to clear the ridgeline and collided with the mountain peak. I was thrown with an incredible force, and as I was fainting, I was realizing that I was alive and the plane had stopped, Roberto Canessa, one of the survivors, said. The impact was devastating. Both wings and the tail tore off upon impact. The rest of the fuselage crashed and slid down a mountain before hitting a glacier. The wreckage halted in a remote valley in Argentina near the Chilean border at an elevation of 3,570 meters or 11,710 feet. 12 people were killed instantly. Several others were critically injured. The remaining 33 survivors, stunned and disoriented, found themselves stranded in a desolate, freezing landscape. They had limited food, no proper clothing, and no way to contact the outside world. The wreckage of the plane was their only shelter against the bitter cold. Although they were surrounded by snow, there were no initial means to melt it into drinking water. As night fell and temperatures plummeted to -30 degrees Celsius, -22 Fahrenheit, the survivors huddled together inside the fuselage for warmth using airplane seats as makeshift blankets. 5 more survivors passed on the first night, including co-pilot Legara, and another in the following few days. On day 10, the survivors managed to find the plane's transistor radio. However, their excitement was short-lived. They had learned that the search for them had been called off. Eventually, the survivors were able to use metal from the wreckage to construct a device that melted the snow to water using sunlight. However, their food supply was still limited. During this time, the remaining 27 survivors shared 8 chocolate bars, a tin of mussels, 3 jars of jam, almonds, dates, candies, dried plums, and some wine. As days turned into weeks, starvation became a serious threat. Faced with the shortage of food, the group made a desperate decision. They harvested the bodies of the dead passengers for food. It was the only option for survival. October 29, day 17, the survivors were about to face another deadly obstacle. Out of nowhere, 2 avalanches raged down the mountain, entombing the fuselage with everyone inside under snow. 8 more survivors died. For 3 days, the remaining 19 survivors ate the bodies from inside the fuselage that did not survive the avalanche as they tunneled their way out of the snow to see daylight. Eventually 3 survivors, Nando Parado, Antonio Tintin Vizintin, and Roberto Canessa, decided they had to act. They set out on a trek hoping to obtain crucial information of their whereabouts, only to come to the realization they were much deeper into the Andes than they expected. Met with impossible obstacles, they returned to the crash site, only to find out that 3 more survivors died. With greater determination, the 3 ate a larger portion of the food supplied to build up their strength. From the aircraft components, they crafted a sled and sewed together materials for a sleeping bag. December 12, day 61, bolstered in several layers of clothing and their makeshift travel gear, the trio set out again into the Andes. Early into their journey, they were met with another obstacle. What they had anticipated to be a 1-day trek from the valley where the fuselage lay, up to the mountain peak took them 3 days. Disheartened to only find more snowy mountains around them, they realized the food rations they had brought were insufficient. To decrease consumption, Antonio was sent back down to update the others, leaving Nando and Roberto with his rations. For 9 grueling days, Nando and Roberto covered nearly 70 kilometers or 45 miles of rugged terrain. They battled against blizzards, treacherous ice fields, and sheer cliffs, pushing their bodies to the brink of exhaustion. Each step was a test of endurance, each breath a struggle against the thin, freezing air. They rationed their measly supplies and pressed on, knowing they were the only hope for the others. Fortunately, Nando and Roberto's absolute display of determination was about to be rewarded. On December 20, 1972, the 9th day of their journey, the men approached a river bank and found signs of life, including cattle, a cattle track and a rusty soup can. As they followed the trail, the duo encountered a Chilean shepherd, Sergio Catalan. With the last of their strength, they managed to convey their desperate situation to the shepherd, who alerted authorities. December 13, day 71, a rescue mission was launched. Nando led helicopter pilots to the crash site, bringing a flood of emotions to the survivors. Over the next 2 days, the 14 remaining survivors at the fuselage were taken by helicopter to safety. Upon their rescue, the survivors were treated for several conditions, including malnutrition and scurvy. The story of the miracle of the Andes is a testament of human resilience. It remains one of the most remarkable tales of survival in modern history. It brings to light the importance and power of hope and our will to survive. It acts as an inspiration and reminder to us of the extraordinary lengths humans can go to when faced with insurmountable odds, that even in our darkest moments, we can find the strength to endure and overcome. This documentary is dedicated to the victims of Flight 571 and their families, and to the survivors who showed the world the true meaning of courage. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If you found this story compelling, please like, share, and subscribe for more true stories. Until next time, stay safe and stay strong.